Thank you. Now, our next presenter is Luis Portoles from Technology Institute IDEME, which is our project partner. Good morning, Luis.
Good morning to everyone.
You're now co-host, so you can share the screen, and you will present us design adaptation of a medical device for the production of metal additive manufacturing technologies. So this with one case study from medical sector. Luis, please.
Exactly. Please confirm that you.
It's visible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, thank you, Damir. Thank you to all the attendees to this kind of event for attending and also for listening my presentation as well. So first of all, let me introduce what is IDEME. Is the company, the entity I'm representing here in this event. We are a research center located in Spain, specifically in Valencia, in the Mediterranean coast. We are working mainly with different kind of activities, research and development, advancing technology services, laboratory tests, training, and also observatory technology, market analysis, and so on. Mainly in this kind of fields. This is our strategic fields, and specifically today I will talk about additive manufacturing. So our background in additive manufacturing is cover a great range of technologies that we have here in-house, both based on polymers and metals as well. And for instance, in the case of the metal, we are working with a powder bed fusion with laser beam and electron beam as well.
Luis, excuse me, Luis.
Yes.
Can you maybe start the presentation mode of PPT, because we are still at the first slide. If you are at the first slide, okay.
Okay. No. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Okay, I will try to. At this moment, are you seeing my screen with the different slides?
Yes. Now we can see introduction to IDEME, but your presentation is not in presentation mode. You are in editing mode. Okay. So
sorry. Let me check it.
Now we can see only us.
Okay.
Maybe you have, probably now it's, now it's.
That's okay.
Yeah, I can see a gray screen with the IDEME logo type.
Oh my God, sorry.
You have a few options, maybe you should.
The problem is that I have two screens, and the problem is, okay, let me check it. Okay, now? No.
Yeah, probably now it will. No.
Okay.
Maybe you should share desktop, not the screen. Probably what you will looking at, we can see it also.
Now?
Now we can see normal presentation, yeah?
But now, no.
Just a few seconds.
No, the problem is that the whole presentation is in the second screen. Okay, I tried to
manually change it.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to increase the size of the screen. Sorry about that. I don't know exactly how to do it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, this is the lines that we are working with, as I mentioned before. This is the technologies that we are working with at this moment. So again, we are able to process metal materials with mainly based on the powder bed fusion process with laser and electron beam. And we have also other kind of technologies with the possibility to process polymers material like SLA, CFF, SLS, MDF. And also we are working with different fields around additive manufacturing, providing technical consultancy, design for manufacturing, developing materials, qualifying the materials and the process for the specific applications, like on that case, medical, but also aerospace applications that are quite conservative as well. We are developing technology, and also we are providing training for disseminating this knowledge to the companies that we are working with. So at this moment, also, okay, so we are part of an excellent network about additive manufacturing, specifically metals here in Spain. So in this presentation, I would like to highlight the importance of the design for manufacturing. In this slide, it's possible to see that the trend topic is what is the 3D printer more convenient for me? It's a good question, in fact, because at this moment, it's a wide range of technologies available in the market with different capabilities and with different possibilities. But the question to take advantage of the implementation of additive manufacturing is, if you don't have a proper design for taking advantage of additive manufacturing, it's not possible to take profit of all of these technologies. So on the left, it's possible to see that the person that is working with the design of manufacturing, there is no so much question for him. So you mentioned before, Jose and Amir, the difference between traditional, milling, all the techniques based on removing the material for achieving the final geometry in relation with additive. Additive can provide us the possibility to build more complex geometries than removal, but also in general, we can say that we have different methods for producing metal parts, for instance. Like casting forming, when it's required a tool for achieving the final geometry, material removal, and additive manufacturing. Here in this table, it's possible to compare the different resistors and the different characteristics between them in order, for instance, to compare processing radius, the investment, the geometrical complexity, and the accuracy. So at the end, we can consider that additive manufacturing is more indeed for low productions, for produce high complexity geometries, and also allows a high customization. That's important. So you mentioned something before that is quite important. It's not question to use only alone additive manufacturing or traditional methods of manufacturing, like milling or, for instance, casting. It's important to combine some of them to take advantage of every technology, because at the end, the final part needs to meet some technical requirements, and it's not possible to achieve these technical requirements without the combination of the different manufacturing methods. We will explain later with an example. Here is possible to see that in the case of in terms of design for manufacturing, this is an industrial application, but I think it's a good example to check what is the importance of the design of manufacturing. On the left side of this figure, is possible to see an assembly of different components to build the product. On that case, these components are produced by machining. So in that case, when you are designing, thinking about this manufacturing process, you must take into account what is the best option or the best design for reducing the milling times, the tool hours, and at the end, to reduce the operations for increasing the mass that means that there is an increase of the mass of the part. So we are talking about usually high volume of geometry because when less operations, the cheaper result is. But in the case of the additive manufacturing, the approach for design is quite different. On that case, this technology allows a freedom of design, but it's important to bear in mind, to have in mind that here the question is to reduce the amount of material. Less material means cheaper process because it consumes less material and also less time to produce this geometry. So at the end, we are using less volume of geometry, and that means less material. So it's quite different processes, means different design rules. It's a very important message to consider. And of course, additive manufacturing is not a magic post where everything can be manufactured. It is important to know that, again, it's an alternative process and it complements other traditional processes like machining. So it's important to consider in which geometries or in which parts, in which products make sense to use additive manufacturing. So it's a question to think about what is the target that I want to achieve. For instance, to reduce the weight of the part, to reduce the production lead time, to reduce or to have more process flexibility in order to reduce the time for any change in design that is required, or for instance, to reduce the stock or reduce the cost, to improve the added value of the parts, adding new features or the customization. So it's important to consider all these questions in order to design properly for additive manufacturing. So that requires a good understanding of the benefits and limitations of the additive manufacturing technologies. Every technology has some limitations. For instance, regarding the material, the dimensional specifications, the roughness, the mechanical properties, and so on. It is required as well to have a solid understanding of the part requirements, obviously, and the environment. And at the end, based on these requirements and also with these limitations, the question is to choose the best additive manufacturing technology and the specific material for this application. And again, it's important also to consider the whole supply chain for obtaining this part. That means that it's not only question to think about the additive manufacturing by itself, if not in combination with other processes for achieving the final part. And based on that, we can establish what is the cost of assessment. I mean, someone asked before about what is the cost of this in comparison with the a part produced with additive manufacturing in comparison with the traditional method. So at the end, it depends, because if you consider as well all the processes for obtaining the final part, so you have at the end a final estimation of the total cost. So because in some cases, in addition to the additive manufacturing, you require a milling, or for instance, some thermal or post treatment or surface treatment. So at the end, it's not so easy to compare different processes. If not, it's question to compare the time, the lead time, and the cost of the whole supply chain for obtaining the final part. So I would like to remark this. When you are thinking about design for additive manufacturing, so you must consider how to reduce the material, how to improve the nesting of the part. Here in the picture below, it's possible to see that here is a design for production. So this is the PIP platform. On that case, we are considering this as a tabular cup. But in addition to the design of this specific product, this is the design for production. That means that we are nesting all these components in order to increase the number of parts per bit job. And with this approach, it's possible to reduce the price per part. It's important also to consider, on that case, in the design of manufacturing, this approach, how to reduce the price per part, combining different geometries in the same build job. Also, it's important to reduce the support, the structures support that this geometry requires. So it's question also to think about how to orientate this part in the big job, and also to reduce the post processes. A high number of structure supports means much time for removing the supports because it's not part of the final geometry or the final part, and at the end an increase of the price of the final part. So it's important to consider this as well. And finally, to consider the best design for the quality control procedures as well. An important thing is that when you are considering design of manufacturing, we can split this design in different concepts. So we are talking about design for the function that requires knowledge, obviously, if we are talking about medical applications, obviously about anatomical requirements, for instance, but also it requires knowledge about the process, the manufacturing process. In that case, not only additive, not all the post processes that you need in the supply chain to obtain the final part. So that is quite important to configure a cooperation team with different skills, with different backgrounds and expertise in order to take the advantage and really to reach the goal to have a good design for additive manufacturing. It's quite important to have this in mind as well. I would like to introduce this case. This is a successful case about cooperation between different partners with different skill, with different background. And we obtain here a medical device. On that case, I'm talking about maxillofacial prosthesis. It's a custom implant. In fact, this implant was patented by the three partners that we cooperate. Incliva is a hospital. Okay, it's a research foundation here related with a hospital here in Valencia. And that case is a surgeon cooperating in the development of this product, very well known here. Is the chief of the maxillofacial department in the Hospital Clínico of Valencia, and also is another partner, Biomechanical Research Center here in Valencia as well, and ourselves. And here is possible to see it's like it's part of the jaw of a patient. This is the description of the pattern, so we can distinguish here in this design. In the number 4, for instance, it's a solid part that is machine polished because it's in contact with the soft tissues of the yes in this area in the jaw. Here is possible to see in the part 1 the how to fix this implant to the bone through the holes with the reference 2. And there is also a lattice structure with the number 3, that the function of this lattice structure is to facilitate the integration of the bone, so the osseointegration, in order to finally to fix also this implant to the bone. And also here is not possible to see, but also we have the preparation for implementing afterwards, after the surgery, if it is required some dental implants to this geometry. What is the process for obtaining this part? So the first step is to have through a CT scan of the patient to design with the help of the surgeon in that case, what is the indeed geometry for this specific patient for this specific case. So there is a first 3D model that is calculated with a frame analysis model as well, in order to check all the forces that as technical requirements of this design. After that, we consider the use of the electron beam melting or powder bed fusion electron beam with the titanium cyst for ELI for producing this part. In terms of designing for manufacturing, with the first version of the 3D model, we split this in different parts, in different 3D files, one of them with the solid geometry and the other with the porosity areas, because it requires different treatments virtually in digital version, I mean. Another question quite important is that as it is required in some areas that are in contact with the soft tissues to have a very good roughness and also machining and polish, it's important also to evaluate where is required an extra material for machining after that in the critical areas. Also, for instance, to drill the holes, because the accuracy that we can obtain with the additive manufacturing in these specific areas that is required, for instance, to put on a screw, is not so good like machining process. So again, it's important to take advantage of the different processes for obtaining. Here in that case, we need first to produce a net to shape geometry with the additive manufacturing, and after that to mill the soft surfaces and also to drill the holes that are required. Obviously, with the additive manufacturing, we are able to produce the porosity areas and the lattice structure, and also it's important to, in this 3D geometry, to include some features in the geometry for clamping the part during the machining. Okay. Also, it's important to consider, in order to have a continuity in the geometry, to have an overlap between the porosity areas and the solid material, because the process parameters for producing in additive manufacturing these both different areas, the purple and the green one, are different. So it's required to split the geometry in two different models again, because they have different process parameters for producing these parts. It's important as well, thinking about the design of manufacturing, as I mentioned before, how to put the right orientation of the lattice structure and the geometry for producing properly the geometry in order to reduce the structure, supports, and all these kind of facts. So with this, also we oriented the geometry in the bit platform for reducing the support structures, and is part of the design of manufacturing as well. Here it is possible to see another version of the 3D file where we are putting some extra materials for clamping, like this kind of buttons. This allows us to put in the machining system as well, and also to maintain the reference between the additive manufacturing system and the machining system as well. And here in this picture, it's possible to see the structure, the superstructures that we need in order to prevent the dissemination of the heat transfer between the melt pool and the machine. this geometry is sacrificed. So after the production, we remove these supports because it's not part of the geometry, but we need it during the process in order to transfer this heat and prevent some kind of distortions of the material when you are producing with this technology. Here is possible to see the bit platform. On that case, we are producing 4 samples, 4 items for demo purposes mainly. Here is possible to see that the roughness after the production is not so good. I mean, it depends. It's good in some cases for test integration because there is like some cavities on the surface, on the upper surface. But when we are talking about these areas that are in contact with the soft tissues, so it is require a higher or less roughness, a higher level of surface. In that case, it is require the machining. Here in these pictures, it's possible to see the operations to remove the extra material that we have produced for clamping. And also in this picture, and here is possible to see the removal of the superstructures, and here the polishing of the areas that are in contact with the soft tissues. Here is the final part with all with everything. So I mean with the polish area. On that case, it's not required to polish because it's in contact with bone. So the roughness is the typical that we can obtain with these technologies. Here it's possible to see the holes drilled with a machining process in order to have the accuracy that we need for adjusting or for fitting the screws. Here also it's possible to see these features in order to receive the dental implants in case that is necessary for the patient. So we cover the complete function of the jaw, in this case of a patient that due to cancer at the end. So there is a lack of bone and at the end, yes, we improve the life of this patient. I think that's all from my side. So as conclusion or a summary, I would like to highlight that obviously it's a trend topic to talk about the different technologies for additive manufacturing, but it's a must to think about the design of manufacturing. It's not possible to have a successful case study if you don't have a good design properly for this material and for this technology. And this requires knowledge that is very specific of the manufacturing processes. And again, it's quite important to establish a good team, a good relationship between different partners with different skills in order to complement the design of the function of the implant of the prosthesis with their manufacturing processes, not only additive manufacturing, if not other processes in the value chain for obtaining the final part and at the end to reach the goal to have a successful case for medical application on that case. Okay, that's all from my side. I think I hope you enjoy the presentation, and if you have some question about this, I'm proud to answer them.
Thank you very much, Luis, for a very interesting presentation with very detailed steps about obtaining one medical part produced mainly with additive manufacturing, but as you already mentioned in your presentation, in some cases and in some details on the part, you have to think about traditional machining. So in order to get the best of both worlds, subtractive as well as additive.
Exactly.
Do we have any question for Luis? In questions and answers, I cannot see it. I will reclaim the host from you. And Okay, do we have any question? If not, our next presenter is Gisela Vega from University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria from Spain.
I wish you
we have really sorry.
Sorry, I wish you also Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank
you again for inviting us.
Thank you again for you to support us, and also Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Sorry, Damir, I cannot write on the, because I'm a panelist, a question for Luis. Can I ask Luis directly? Yes.
Please.
Well,
please ask.
Luis, really interesting your design, and obviously for me, because it belongs to not exactly my field, but I have a question for you, because you have there like the connections of which is the most coronal part of the implants. Did you have any problems to get the parameters and the dimensions of this part? Because this part is quite specific to the manufacturer. There are a lot of manufacturers of implants that they don't want to share this part because it's kind of a secret market. So where did you get there? It was an open source. You got that part of the connection, and you have possibility of fusing with the rest of the design, which obviously is yours. I don't know.
Are you referring to to these holes, these features?
That whole, yes.
Okay, so on that case, so the intention is not to implement the crowns directly here. So on that case, it's question to implement so when we are referring to dental implants, I'm referring to screws.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that case, there is an standard approximation about what is the geometries of these screws, but it's possible to adapt. So consider that this is a custom implant. So it depends of the stocks in the hospital, the surgeon plan, what is the screw that has the intention to use it during the surgery. On that case, we can adapt this geometry to the specific implant that are in the hospital, and the surgeon is interested to use it. Okay, so we are able, because this is a custom implant, to adapt the geometry to the specific implant that the surgeon is interested to use it during the surgery.
Okay, I see.
Because it's not, otherwise, if we are talking about a standard implant, I mean, it's not possible, as you mentioned, because are quite different. It's a wide range of solutions in the market.
Thank you, Luis.
Thanks to your question.
Thank you very much, Jose, for question, and Luis for your answering. Do we have maybe one more question? We have time for it.
I think there is one in the chat.
Yeah, here. Miodrag asks, he is interested in the cost of designing and making such an implant.
Okay,
if you maybe have a kind of estimation of the cost.
Okay, at this moment, I would like to say that also we have reached an agreement with a private company. So we have license for this specific implant, the design and the production. So that means that at this moment, I'm not able to answer this question because it depends on the company. So we have licensed the patent, I mean. But if you are interested, I can write my email in the chat, and I can transfer this question to the specific company. But in general, if we are talking about different kind of products, medical implants or medical devices, so it's it's not so easy to say the range of what is the cost of designing, because at the end, in some cases, it is required, as I mentioned, cooperation between the different teams. So it's quite difficult to answer directly to this question. If someone is interested in this point, please send me an email and we will discuss specifically in order to have with a more precision what could be the cost of this. Okay. Sorry about that, but it's not possible. It's not so easy to answer.
Thank you, Luis, for your answer. I hope that Miodrag is satisfied. If not, he has your email, so he can contact you because Miodrag is from our project team. So also dealing with the production of medical, not implants, but so far, but tools maybe for production of medical implants, but from different type of technologies and different materials. But thank you very much once again for your presentation, and once again, Merry Christmas to you.